Year 4, welcome to Friday's maths lesson. Today we are going to be ordering amounts of money. So following from yesterday's comparing, we're going to be looking at putting them in the right order today. Okay, so we'll be needing to order in both ascending and descending order. Have a think to remember what those words mean. We've used them quite a few times already this year. It might be helpful to remember ascending is to go higher and A is at the top of the alphabet, so A for the top, so you're going from the smallest to the largest if you are ascending, and if you are descending you're going from the largest to the smallest, so going the opposite way. You might also remember this, I know in my class we had a conversation about flying. When you're ascending it's when you're taking off, and when you're descending it's when you're coming down to land. Okay, so just remember what those two words mean today. They're really important so that you don't make any mistakes. Okay, so when I am ordering amounts of money, which column do I need to look at first? If you think back to yesterday, I need to look at the column that is it on the left or the right? Am I going to start with the biggest column or the smallest column? Just have a think. So I need to look at the column furthest to the left, okay? That would give me the first indicator of the largest number. If I have a look at these four numbers, I can see this is £1, this has no pounds, this one has £2, and this one has £1. So I already know immediately that this one is actually going to be my biggest, because 2 is bigger than 1 and it's bigger than 0. So I can automatically put this one over on my largest side. So I've only had to look at my ones column here and it has already told me which one is going to be my biggest. Now before I do anything else, I would normally then look for the next largest, because we're going in order. It makes sense to look for the next one. But in this circumstance, I already know that this one here is going to be my smallest because there's no pounds at all in this one. So I know that of the three numbers that I've got left, one of them has no pounds and two of them have £1. So I know this one is going to be smaller than those two. Okay, so now I'm left with 2 and I just need to put them in the right order between my largest and my smallest. I know that they have the same number in the ones column, so what do I do if I have the same number in the biggest column? I need to look at the column next door. In that column, so 50p, and this one's only got 30, so I know that one's going to slot in there. Okay, and if you notice, I've put them now in descending order because I've started with my largest and gone to my smallest. Okay, so just keep in mind which column you're looking at. Okay. All right, having a look here at this one. This time, the first thing I need to notice is that it is in ascending order. So I'm looking for the smallest number first. And I'm still going to look for my column furthest to the left. The first thing I notice between these four numbers is that this one here has a number in the thousands column. Because none of these have a number in the thousands column, this one has to be the biggest, because that thousands column means that we've got £60, doesn't it? Okay, so this one automatically goes right over here, and that's because I've looked in the column furthest to the left. Now these ones don't have anything in that column, which means this one has to be the biggest. Okay, so I know I'm going from in ascending order, but to me it makes most sense to start with that one because it's the most obvious. The next thing I need to do now is come back to these three, and I'm going to again look in that column furthest to the left. So I'm not looking at thousands, I'm looking at hundreds now. So I've got a 6 in the hundreds, I've got a 5 in this 100, and I've got 9 in this hundreds column. So I know that 5 is the smallest of those numbers, which makes that my smallest amount of money. Again, I don't actually need to look in any of the other columns because 5 is in the hundreds and it's the smallest. Okay, so then when I come back to these two, it's the same thing. 6 in the hundreds column, I'm still not looking at any of the other columns. 6 is smaller than 9, so it's going to go next, and then 9 after that. Okay, so don't get confused when they have a bigger number with more columns. You always need to look at the column furthest to the left. All right, and what happens if you have some in pence and some in pounds? Remember back to yesterday, you need to make sure that they're written in the same way. So you need to make sure they're either all pounds or all pence. I generally find for myself that pounds is the easiest way to do this, because you can see here that puts out £0, makes it very, very clear that this is less than £1, and it's very clear that it's the smallest amount. Okay, so do make sure that you convert your amounts of money to the same thing if they're not when you first start that question. So here you go, I've converted them all to the same to having pounds and pence. So again, I instantly know that this one is my smallest. This one's going to be my next, because 5 is smaller than 6. Looking in my ones column again, now I have to decide which one's bigger out of these two. They've both got 6 in the ones column, but this one has 1 in the tenths column. So that's going to go here, and then 7 in the tenths column, and that makes that the most. Okay, so do just make sure that you convert them, and then you always look in the largest column first, and then move on to the next largest. Today you have do it and twist it, and then there's quite a few solve it and extension questions. There's a few of those extensions that could go on for a very long time. It asks you to find all of the possible answers, and there are a lot of them. Just make sure that you work through them systematically to make sure that you are finding all of the answers. It will make it a lot easier for you, and you might start finding a pattern, which makes it even easier as you're going along. Okay. Good luck with all of that, and I will see you after the half term. I hope you have a wonderful week. And we look forward to seeing what you've been doing.